Hey everyone, I have a good friend of mine, Susan Combs, with us here today on Impact Over Income. And she's the president of Combs and Company and a host of other things, which we're going to talk about today. Susan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it.
So I'll have you know the first time, everyone, that I first met her was actually in an elevator, and we were going to different gyms to work out. And I ran into her in the elevator on the way there, on the way back, and I was like, wait a second. I know you. But you've got a wonderful story. You've been making a wonderful impact in people's lives, not just through health insurance and the benefit space for your career, but also in your story. And we're gonna get into that. What are some things going on right now in Susan's world that you can share with me?
Oh, God, what's not going on? It's just, I'd say the biggest thing today, I run fundraising efforts for a veterans clinic, and we're actually launching social media channels for those efforts today. So you got me on a real busy day, but it's been good. So that's probably the biggest thing. I would say some other things going on. I'm headed to the CrossFit Games to be a spectator here tomorrow, so that's pretty exciting stuff. And planning forward for our next Pancake Sir Roger fundraiser. God, February is going to be here before I know it. So I kind of got to be strategic these days before fourth quarter hits and we're in open enrollment hell. So
That's excellent. I really did not get a chance to really talk to you or really talk with you until we both met out at the California event. You were speaking, and was speaking there as well. And just to hear your presentation and hearing all about that and getting to know you better, and then again just through LinkedIn and running into you at various events and have you photobomb Eric Silverman and I. But what a wonderful person, and I just want you to know there aren't many people who inspire me to be consistent working out. They just aren't, because nothing belittling against others, but just few people have. They haven't, because they're not as consistent as I need to be that. And just your consistency with working out, your commitment to investing in yourself when it comes to your physical health and physical well-being inspires me. And I often do comment about it on LinkedIn. Accountability is not a four-letter word. It's a very good thing. And although you've never, chastised me or challenged me, I know you're working out that same time. And there is something to be said to that. So you motivate me, you inspire me to invest in myself, especially on days, I'm going to confess this, especially on those days that I need a kick in the backside. So I want you to know that you're making an impact.
thank you. I appreciate that. That makes me happy.
But what are some things that you do? I mean, most people know that you are very committed to working out, but what are some things that Susan does for herself to impact yourself in a positive way?
So I'm not a New Year's resolution person, but I am a goal setter. I tend to set goals and intentions around the first of the year, like a lot of people do. And I typically have goals around fitness, goals around business, and goals around personal. Just because I try to be a well-rounded person. I know I can be the job, like a lot of us can be at times, but there are things like, for example, I'm a gym rat, and so a couple of the goals that I set is I want to hit 215 on my bench press this year. I wanted to hit 275 on my squat, and I wanted to hit 300 on my deadlift. And then there were, some other fitness goals that I had, but happy to report I just got third place in a national, or actually worldwide lifting competition. So I got third place of the old ladies in the 40 and over division, and I hit two of my goals. So I didn't hit the 215 on the bench. I had 205, which I'm okay with because that's pretty damn heavy for a girl. But I hit 290 on my squat, so I exceeded my goal there, and I did hit 300 on my deadlift. So I'd say that, not to toot my own horn, but I've had two back surgeries. So the 300 deadlift is, I hate deadlifting, to be honest, and that's I'm really proud of that because I did it right, and I really worked hard at the comeback. But I think one of the other things that I've done for myself is, and this probably started about 3 years ago, is always want to maintain a creative outlet. My side of the fence when it comes to health insurance, I do a lot of expert witnessing. So I do a lot of analysis and consulting, and my job is very analytical. And so I need something that's going to light up my brain creatively.
Hmm.
So that was something that I said, okay, January 1st, do something creative every single month. That
Hmm.
was, so that was a new thing for me. I always try to do some creative things, but like I always do fourth quarter something creative, whether it's like an art project, like I've made vanilla, I've made Christmas ornaments, I've done different things. This year I've actually been knitting
Oh, wow.
temperature blankets every day for my nieces. So whatever the high temperature is for the day, that's the color that's associated. So you have no idea what the blanket's going to look like until it's done. And then I realized you know, overshot the goal a little bit and realized that was going to be a blanket the size to fit 20. So I stopped at 6 months and gifted one to one of my 6-year-old niece. And then I'm
Oh, wow.
working on another one that's going to be for my 3-year-old niece, since her birthday is in January. So the creative thing's kind of something that's important to me. It's also something that's important to me is connecting with peer-to-peer mentors.
Hmm.
So I think mentorship is very, very important. I've mentored a lot of people. I've been mentored by a lot of great people, but I think sometimes the most valuable relationships to me are those peers. So people that there's a shared something. So whether it's like, you might have a peer-to-peer somebody that's in the gym. So you have like a peer mentor, a lifting partner, or something like that. Or you have like a shared industry, or a shared, maybe you have aspirations of being on boards and things like that. So you have those connections. So that's been something when I was the national president of WIFS, those were intentional relationships that I set out to form. And then I've just continued it ever since I retired from being a national president in 2015.
Well, that's amazing. That's excellent. And you talked a little bit about mentors, and congratulations. I know you are very passionate about investing in people's lives, and you are a prime example of a person making an impact over an income. Who are those people that have made a positive impact in you? Maybe we don't have enough time for that entire list, but I know you've got several you'd like to mention. Who are they?
Yeah. And you just, like it's anything, you don't want to leave somebody out and piss somebody off. But it's just, I mean, if I'm going to go like full on who I look at all the time, just because he's no longer here, as my father, because he gave me such countless wisdom that I can draw from. And so even though he's passed, I also believe that people that have passed, I feel like they're just outside of our reach. And if you're open to different things, you can still, you still talk to them in your head. You can still look for signs. And I'm a big believer of that. And I get a lot of that from my dad. So my dad, even though he's no longer on this earth, I still count him as a mentor to me. I have a lot of great peer-to-peer mentors. I mean, Eugene Starks is one of my guys. I mean, you know that, because he and I have kind of that double connection. So we have the industry connection, we have the former national president connection, and then we also have the CrossFit Love connection. So when I was doing that competition, I would text him in the morning before I would start the comp and just say, okay, here's the lift. This is what I'm doing today. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. I'd share videos with him. I'd share the progress with him. So he's a big guy for me. Lester Morales is also a good peer-to-peer guy for me. And, I mean, I always laugh because it's just like, I get up at 5 a.m. every day to go to the gym, and I know I'm going to have a tag from you or Lester, because the three of us are always up that early getting ready to go to the and then when it comes to professional, I mean, Nancy Giacalone, I know she's a good friend of yours. Chelsea Wally-Rikis, my business partner, Colleen Blum. There's been, people in the industry like Julie McNeely and Chris Alfheim that are actually more on the financial services side. But they've been close friends of mine for so long and are just really, really good people. And I'm just going to get in trouble because I have so many people. I'm going to leave people out. But I try to think of who's on my texting groups, right? And so Chelsea and Nancy and I kind of text quite a bit, where it just, sometimes you're having a bad day. And, to be able to shoot a text off to those ladies and say, this is what's going on today, or this is what I'm struggling with. And we can relate, but it doesn't have to just be a work thing. It can be a personal thing. Like Nancy and Chelsea and I were having a personal conversation about girl stuff today. And it was great that we were able, because when you look at it, we're 3 different generations, which is kind of cool. But it doesn't even matter. So it's just like we take knowledge and insight from Chelsea, that's quite a bit younger. I take some, big sister advice from Nancy, and then I'm kind of the one in the middle that's kind of like the little sister, the big sister, the level head that'll shoots her mouth off a little too much sometimes, and they can bring me down when I need to be.
That's excellent. That's excellent. The next question really goes around your career. Now, that could be around business, that could even be around Pancakes for Roger. What are some positive impacts you've seen or you've heard that have happened that you've made in other people's lives?
Oh, I one of the things I'm good at, and I'll say I know I'm good at, is I'm good at lifting people up. And I'm good at shining the spotlight on other people because I have a healthy, confidence in myself. I know I've achieved a lot in my career. Um, but one of the things that I've seen, especially with women, women aren't so good at tooting their own horn. So I can toot it for them. And that's kind of what started out. I write a series for Benefits Pro called What's the Good News, Ladies? And that started out just to lift women up in our industry and give them a spotlight. And I know that people get upset when it's like, oh, you have a woman of the year or a man of the year, and people are like, oh, let's just have a person of the year. And I understand that. I do, but coming from a background of as a national president for a women's insurance organization, there is a difference. And understanding how to kind of connect and relate and promote those women. So we do a whole social media strategy called Wonder Woman Wednesday, where we
Mm.
always spotlight a woman. Sometimes they're in the industry, sometimes they're outside, sometimes they're clients of mine, sometimes they're friends of mine. If you want to get on that, just shoot me an email, and if you got somebody, I'd love to hear from them.
Yeah.
So that's one way. And then we actually started a Wonder Woman Mastermind. And then I do have a passion for helping veterans. So my father was a major general in the Air Force. He served our country for 39 years and 9 months. And he ultimately died of Agent Orange related throat cancer. And my father was also a civilian judge, so he taught me a lot. But he also taught me a lot about helping others. I mean, my dad and even my mother were always the people that if somebody needed help, they were the first ones there. They would always check on people. They would always make sure that if somebody needed something, they were good at like doing the random acts of kindness and throwing some money some people's way, and they never knew where it came from. And it was just a very good example for me growing up. So just to kind of give a living legacy to him, I mean, you had mentioned Pancakes for Roger. So I run a fundraiser for a veterans clinic that's ran by the University of Missouri School of Law that provides free legal services for veterans and their families navigating the VA claims and appeals process, discharge upgrades, and a lot of other things too. But I got involved in that clinic after my father passed,
Mm.
and I'm on a board for the University of Missouri, and that's how I got my first exposure to that organization, because they just do such great things, and they're training these attorneys to be ambassadors for our veterans.
Mm.
And so many of these guys, and not, and when I say guys, I mean men and women,
Right.
that gave everything or gave it all, and we owe them so much. And I
Mm.
don't care if you're right wing or left wing. I mean, if somebody's doing service for our country, like, that should be respected.
Right.
And a lot of times when men and women get out of service, they're just kind of dropped.
Mm.
And there's ways that we can help them, and there's ways, and there's different organizations, different programs. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Travis Manion Foundation that does a lot of mentorship and takes those leadership skills that these men and women have developed and learned and been trained for, and parlays that into corporate America and how to help other corporate people, and also how to help children. So
Mm.
those are things that I kind of try to focus on. And you want to leave the world a little bit better than you came into it, I think.
Mm. Well, those are some excellent nuggets of gold there. I'm just going to ask you the next question. Why? I mean, you're very successful. You're at every national event. I see you there. Oftentimes you're on the main stage, or you're speaking on somewhere else around the corner in another room. Somebody else that's associated with you. You're investing in people. There's so many things you could be doing that could be strictly income based, right? But yet I hear your voice. I see your presence doing things to make a difference and to make an impact. So why? What really is your why?
You know, I I've been very fortunate in this world, and I've been very fortunate um by being open to opportunities that came my way. I mean, I do some different things in our industry that aren't kind of standard, like insurance brokery type of things, but I use my knowledge and my education um to make money. So since I've been open to different opportunities as they've come my way, financially I've been rewarded. But how much money is enough money, right? I mean, my grandfather used to say you never see a U-Haul following a hearse.
Exactly.
And so, with that in mind, there's no reason why you can't make a good impact and you can't help others. And I had parents that did that. And that's where I think my father also, I mean, I grew up in a town of 1,000 people, and my father always lived well below his means. He's a major general. He was a judge. My dad did all right. And he always lived below his means. So he wasn't flashy, he wasn't buying a new car every year. And I learned that. And so since I learned that, my husband and I, that's how we live. We live way below our means so that we can make an impact. We can make, help others. And then I also don't have to work forever.
Excellent. Excellent. So again, this is coming out fourth quarter. Anyone in the benefit space is feeling the pressure, right? The pressure to be more focused on income, right? This is the harvest season, if you will, of the crop, right? It's not so much the focus on prospecting as it is getting those sales. So what might you say to someone to encourage them to not forget that they should still be making an impact in people's lives, not just merely an income? Any thoughts on that?
I think for me, if you're waiting until fourth quarter to make all your money, I don't know if that's the thing. We focus on small group. So our fourth quarter, is it busy? Yes. But since we focus on small group, we have clients that renew every single month. I think our June tends to be more renewals than our July, to be honest. So I think for me, it's all about balance. And so by having the balance, I don't miss the gym in fourth quarter. That's my sanity. That's my me time. Eugene Starks and I talk about that first. It's like putting your oxygen mask on first, and you have to fill up your cup so you can fill other people's cups. Right. So it's just I think that focusing on, having a bang out fourth quarter, but you have to make sure to keep your mental health in check. You have to have those people that when you are having a bad day, you can check in with, having the social thing, and, shutting it down on the weekends. I don't work on the weekends. I don't. Is there a once in a blue moon? Sure. You know what? But I did without a lot. And I worked a lot of freaking weekends. I started out making $24,000 a year. And that was before expenses and rent and everything came out. And so I put in the time so that I can have more of a balance at this point in my life. I've had my company now 18 years. And so having those strategic partnerships in place and having those people that you can go to, but also maintaining that balance throughout, the money's going to come. The money's going to come when you do right for people. And if you continue to do right for people, you also have to do right for yourself, because you have to be your best version of yourself if you want to help others.
Well, that's amazing. I cannot believe how the time has flown in this episode, but I just want to thank you so much, Susan, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, and you're just a very impactful person, not just personally, but also professionally. And I just want to really thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And again, everyone, every single day is a great opportunity for all of us to make an impact, not just an income. Have a great day, everyone.